Welcome back to the Manufacturing Alliance podcast. As always, I'm your host, Tony DeMakis with Alliance Specialties and Laser Sales, where we do all things mold making and repair. I like to say we're the mold makers that don't build molds. That means we do the things that mold makers don't have the time to do or don't necessarily like to do. That's our skill set. So the mold finishing, polishing, laser welding, engraving, repair, hot runner manifold, all those intricate parts that go into mold building and mold maintenance that kind of get pushed on the wayside. Those are our specialty. We rely on you guys to build the molds. That's your expertise. That's what you're great at. And that's how we can partner together. Along with that, we also have a full line of laser welding and laser engraving equipment. Even for production welding, production lines, we can help with that entire system. Our systems are built here in the United States, and we're ready to serve you. So that's my quick little commercial. I want to thank Glenn Starkey from Progressive Components and my father for filling in last week. I hope you guys like that show. I'd like to hear some feedback on what you thought. I'm hoping that Glenn can fill in from time to time if I got to be out of town. He's a person that I trust wholeheartedly, and I think they did a great job. But I would love to hear from you guys as well. A couple little notes here, as we always do. If you would like to be part of the show, feel free to send us a message at Tony@AllianceLaserSales.com, and we'll get your information. We'll get you on the show as soon as possible. We have our golf outing coming up as well. It is September 24th, which is the day after Amerimold. So come out to Amerimold. See all the mold builders in the area, all the vendors, all the mold suppliers. It's actually, honestly, one of my favorite shows because it's small and intimate. It's not a huge NPE. It's not a fab tech. It's a place where we can come together, we can hang out, and we can have honest and open one-on-one discussions that are going to be lasting. You're not going to go home and forget who you talked to and what you talked about. So we thought it was perfect to have the outing right after Amerimold. Everybody already be together, and we can all come together to make a difference for our friends at iWarriors, the organization that helps our combat wounded veterans to heal, both mentally, physically, and just gives them a sense of normality again. So please consider being part of that outing. Just go to AllianceLaserSales.com/golf and last but not least, this show is about the people watching. Steve and I are going to have a conversation, but we want to know what you want to hear about. We want you to be part of what's happening today. So whatever platform you're working on or watching on, whether that's Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, go ahead and let us know you're there. We want to give you a shout out, put your name and company in the chat, and send us a comment, ask a question, make the show about you so that you can gain some value. That's what this is here for, to grow our industry and let people know what U.S. manufacturing is all about from people that are in it and hear their stories. So I'm really excited today to bring our guest on. Steve is somebody that I've been following social media for a long time. He's always posting some incredible work, whether that's on LinkedIn or Instagram or wherever that is. And we've gone back and forth a few times, but this is the first time that we've actually been able to have a conversation. So I'm going to bring Steve in now, and we'll get this show on the road. I forgot which button to hit. You take a week off and you forget everything. Steve, welcome to the show.
Oh, thanks for having me.
So like I said, you're somebody that I've been following for quite a while on social media. I know we've gone back and forth with some comments and, some kudos to each other. And, I want to give you an opportunity to tell people who you are and what you do over at Zero.
Well, my name's Steve Michon. I own Zero Tolerance, which is a small mold shop in Clinton Township, Michigan. And got started back in 1995, I think, in my first mold shop. And I worked for 10 years in Michigan, then moved out to Kansas to do a startup out there. And then I ended up living there for 8 years in Kansas, where there's hardly any industry for 20 to 100 miles. So we ended up having a niche there where we built a Hans device for NASCAR, ATV wheel racing reels out of carbon fiber, all injection molded stuff. So I got to see a lot of cool things, learned a lot of things, and then ended up starting my own company. As a company that I was working for ended up kind of going downhill. So ended up moving back to Michigan. At the time we had 3 kids and no family around. And my wife said, if we're going to do this, we got to do it with family around. So our main goal was to move home and be with family. And at the same time, I had a lot of good relationships in Michigan and worked at a lot of good places. Actually, only a few good places, but ended up starting a shop, a little place, and tried to get work from people that I knew and places that I worked. And I ended up moving into my basement with my parents, on my parents' house with 3 kids and my wife, who's a saint for doing that. And we stayed there for 3 years with pretty much no income, building a mold shop. I must like it because we were able to continue doing it, and we ended up growing and growing. And then after 4 years, we were able to buy a house and moved to a bigger mold shop, and then kept growing. We got some employees, some friends that I used to work with, and here we are today. We've done a lot of things, and I'm blown away with it.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love hearing people's journey. How did you get into the mold industry in the beginning? I mean, I know you say that you were given an opportunity to help set up a shop, but where did that interest and that passion come from initially?
Well, in high school, my parents moved. I lived in Romulus, so all my friends were in Romulus by the airport. Okay. And my parents moved to Clinton Township, and there was a really cool program there, and it was a machine shop class, and the teacher, Tom McCormick, he was a magician, made his own tricks, really a cool guy. And I went there with my mom, and she's like, you got to meet this guy. So I went and met him, and he's like, oh, you'd be good. He gave me a couple little puzzles to solve. Yeah. He didn't tell me how they worked. He just set them in front of me, and it took me, a couple of minutes, and I figured them out. And he looked back and he's like, all right, I think you can go in the advanced class. Nice. Like, what are you talking about? So I got it to go into the advanced class my last year, my senior year. And I ended up learning all kinds of stuff in there. And he just took a liking to me, and he ended up, a lot of his students started their own shops. So he's like, I got 3 or 4 people to introduce you to. And he introduced me to one of his old students, and I got to work with them directly for 4 years. And so I learned from a guy that had 30 years experience. I got to be with them the whole time. So I learned a ton in a short amount of time. And I was just thirsty to learn it. I was willing to work for free. Yep. My motto was, work to learn, not work to earn. And it's
that's good. I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah. I was always hungry to learn stuff, and being a young kid learning, computer stuff, when people are coming off of coloring machines and, the old tape deck style CNCs, it was like, wow, I mean, you can do so much more with a computer now. Yeah. And it's kind of like the kids now, like my kids can get on an iPhone and do so many things. I'm like, wow, it's just natural. You grow up with it and you realize that's just the way it works. You can't do it the way you used to, or you get left behind.
Well, and you shouldn't try to do it the way you used to, right? Like, there's technology advances for a reason. Whether that's cars, whether that's TVs, whether that's phones, whether that's, whatever it is, if you just rely on, we do this the way we do it because it's the way we've always done it, you miss out on all the advances in technology and life that people have come up with along the way.
Yeah. And I've witnessed so many of the people I worked with being old. I was young. So the guys I was working with are 40, 50 years old, and nothing wrong with that. I mean, I'm 45 now. So I'm looking at them and they're like almost mad that the technology is that better. I mean, I'm using a CNC and this guy's doing something on the manual Bridgeport and he's almost like trying to race me like Paul Bunyan or something. I'm like,
Yeah.
you're not going to compete. I'm going to run circles around you and I'm going to make it better and faster. And then I'm going to teach you how to do it because it just doesn't make sense for you to do that.
Yeah.
So
I think part of the key of that too is that, you have that history of being a mold maker. So you know the knowledge of learning it and doing it the seasoned way, the older way. You're not just coming in and pushing buttons and running a computer. So you know already what to watch out for, what the hurdles are, what the challenges are, and you paid your dues learning it the old school way, so you can appreciate more how far we've come and what that looks like. I think that's part of the key is knowing and experiencing that old school way, being an apprentice, getting your hands dirty, turning cranks, doing all that. Now you can go, listen, I've got that background, but I also have this knowledge base of a new kind of wisdom and experience that allows me to do these things much faster.
That is spot on. I mean, that's what you'd like all my employees to have, or all the people learning, is to have that background, and you just can't afford to give it to them nowadays. So now you've got to bring them into a new way of starting. And that's really, I think, a challenge for our whole industry is how do we bring somebody in and kind of explain it? It's so much better than it used to be.
Yeah.
And not that it was bad before, but to me, it's funner now. Because now I can see all these mistakes before I make them in a simulation, on a computer or on a screen. Like, man, if I do it that way, I'm going to crash the machine. And now I'm like, well, I can avoid that whole problem and prove it out and trust that it's going to work. And that's a big thing, is trusting technology.
Yeah, I think trust is key in all situations. I know, for us, we do mostly maintenance and repair. And so when we're looking to hire somebody, it's very difficult for us to take on a younger kid and start doing the training process because these molds are already damaged, right? There's already something going on with them. And so it's almost impossible to teach and train somebody how to identify issues if they don't even know what issues there might be or what to look for. So I think when we're looking to hire somebody in the maintenance and the repair place, we're always looking for, that seasoned veteran that has seen the ugly and fixed the miserable, because they can look at a damaged part and go, oh yeah, it's this, that, and this. Instead of having to learn how to use the Bridgeport, learn how to do this. And I think that there's different stages of your career that have to take place. And when you get to that point where, maybe you're tired of the engineering stuff and the building stuff, and you want to work on, those repair changes and problem solving. Why did this go wrong? There's a space in all of that for everybody.
Oh, for sure. I agree with that. Yeah, it's finding out where your strengths are. I heard, I just recently read a book and it was talking about people that are teaching are typically trying to help you, get stronger at a weakness.
Yep.
Instead of the focus on getting better at your strengths.
Yeah.
Because where your strengths are naturally, that's where the place will be made for you in the future.
Yep.
At least that's been my experience. I may be terrible spelling, but man, I can build a mold. So.
Yeah. Well, and you and I were just talking about that offline a little bit, right? Being able to, I would say, have the humility to understand what your strengths and your weaknesses are, and understanding that I'm not great at everything. Not even close. And the nice thing is I'm surrounded by people that tell me what I'm not good at. It's very helpful. And just being able to humble yourself to go, yeah, I'm not good at that. So I need to find some key people in my life that are going to help me in those areas so that I can grow and get better. And I can focus on what I am good at to help the business go in the direction that I need to, whether that's keeping me organized and helping get some of the social media stuff out, or each of our vision heads, Mike, Kirby, Jerry, Rick, Jason, running their departments in a way that doesn't force me to have to get overly involved. in areas that I'm not comfortable with, and just trusting those people to do what they need to do so I can focus on what I need to do. And then together we can grow the business.
Yep, that's exactly right. The trust, scaling the trust is really a huge thing for me too. I mean, it's hard to let go, but once you
Yeah.
do and you begin to develop that trust, you can see the exponential growth that could happen without you there. And then you see the confidence built up in someone else, and you're like, wow, they take pride in what they're doing. And it's not just me. It's now we have a group pride. So it's exciting.
Yeah. And I mean, you hear it all the time when people say, if I wasn't here, this wouldn't get done, or this would fail, or the company, blah, blah, blah. And at that point, you create the ceiling. You are the ceiling to your own business and success, instead of bringing the next people along with you so that you can continue to grow, so you can go on vacation, so you can do these other things and focus on expansion and growing your business, instead of thinking, oh, I have to run this job because nobody else can do it.
Oh, you're right. Yep, I agree with you.
So how do you get to that place where you feel comfortable trusting those people, whether they're younger kids coming in or seasoned people? How does that work for you?
Well, and in some ways, I really, well, a lot of ways in the beginning, I had a real hard time. Last five years ago, it was like you said, if I'm not doing it, it's not getting done. Is
Yep.
my thought process. Maybe I didn't say it out loud, but that was my action. So,
Yep.
recently, the last 5 years, I've been seeing just a huge amount of, I guess, what's the word for it? The people that are here are proud to be here. They want to be here, and no one's forced to be here. So there's a form of community where they're like, wow, I want to be a part of this, and I think it's good, and there's a huge future for us, and I think it's bigger than even I can imagine. So to me, also I do a thing where I know I can see a failure going to happen, or a mistake going to be made.
Okay.
And I'll purposely let it happen.
Yeah.
That is a huge thing where now they not only they learned from the mistake, but they know that I trusted them to do it and I didn't say anything. So there at some point you can't do that, but there's some things that I've seen that I've done that I see it happen. I'm like, well, I know that's going to fail, but it's really not a costly thing. So I can kind of scale that or judge that. And like, they're going to learn huge, and they're going to know that I believe in them.
Well, and I think it does one other thing, right? When you say, I believe in them, you can tell the baby not to touch the stove till you're blue in the face, but sometimes the baby's got to touch the stove, because you have to learn your own lessons. You have kids, I have kids, and we want to, not that employees and team members are kids, but at some point you want to dump all your knowledge and education and experience on people, that wisdom that you've developed. But at the same point, you don't fully understand and learn that lesson until you make the mistake yourself and have to find the corrective action yourself. So, you can tell somebody, I wouldn't do it that way. And if they just don't do it that way, they only know it won't work because you said so. They don't know why it won't work. So they won't be able to tell somebody later why it won't work, just that, Steve said it won't work. And in the back of their mind, they may always have this question of, would it have worked? Maybe he just didn't do it right that one time. So I think the fact that you let people fail from time to time, it works. Larry Patton says, I just yell at them and make them feel stupid. I want them to know how smart I am. Larry can say that, but that's not true. I know Larry.
Yeah, that's it doesn't work that way, especially at home, especially with kids.
Yeah.
It goes backwards, and I have to admit I've done it and it doesn't work.
No, absolutely. I was Mary Kate just said this, and when I was at Webco and I was talking with Dave, who's one of the owners out there, he said the same thing. It's okay to make a mistake. It's not okay to make the same mistake, right? So
Correct.
You have to be able to learn from that. And so, when I was out there talking with Dave, he was saying that, they throw away scrap parts all the time. And it's not the end of the world. What's the end of the world is if I give you this job and you screw it up once and then you make the exact same mistake on it again, you didn't learn anything. But, it's only a failure if you don't learn, right? Otherwise, it's just stuff happens.
Yeah, that's one way it doesn't work.
Yeah, but you have to make those. You have to have those oopses from time to time. I like one of the things that you said in your bio was that zero tolerance succeeds in the production mold industry by the willingness to improve and learn new things. With all of that, there's mistakes, right? You can't do new things and be successful 100% of the time. I mean, if you can, please write a book, because I have not found that experience.
No, I believe in the challenges that we've had. When somebody comes to me with something, I had a customer come to me wanting all these different subgates done. And I was like, I don't know how to do it, but we're going to get good at it. And we just figured out a few different ways, and it took us a while, but we figured out a way to make them done, do them fast, easy, and accurate. So,
yep. And Larry says again, he says, we don't have failures, we have experiences. And that's the whole thing, right? Like
for sure.
A customer comes to you and they say, this is what we're looking to have you do. Can you do it? There's two answers, right? You can either say yes or no. They don't want to hear maybe. They want to hear yes or no. They want to feel comfortable in what you're saying. For us, we say yes, because there is a way to do it. That's part of our tenacity as a company, is to say yes and then put the resources towards it to make sure that it happens and gets done and you get the results that you want. But if we say no, there's another company right around the corner that's going to say yes.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. We want to move forward and I have a hard time telling people no until it's absolutely ridiculous. So we want to try everything there is, because I think the amount of work that can be done is really underestimated. Where if we go to our people and our coworkers and say, hey, here's a challenge.
Yeah.
Do we want to even attempt it, or we just want to say no? And of course, every time I've done that, they're like, well, what is it? Let's see what it is. And yeah, I'm on board. So if you got more than one person motivated, then you can move mountains, really.
Yep. And those are the kind of people that I want on our team, right? I want the kind of people that want to rise to the occasion, where you set the bar and they go, oh, we can go over that. I mean, we can blow that out of the water. Or you bring them a project like you said, and you say, this is going to be a challenge. I think this is going to be where our hurdles are. You think we can do it? I don't want the person that says, no, we shouldn't take this on. I want to work with that person that goes, absolutely. We've been waiting for this challenge. Everything that we've done up until this point has gotten us to where we are now to help us get over this hump and do that next thing. And I mean, I guess that you've had that forever, right? It says that you were the kid who created the first hands-free switch by designing a system to turn on a light in the morning.
Yeah.
I mean, tell me about that.
Well, I would think I was 8 years old, and I got a birthday present. It was one of those dancing flowers. So if it's sitting by a radio, it would move. It would basically move all around. So I ended up having a bunch of old batteries from an RC car, and I taped them, 8 AA batteries. I taped them all together and connected a string to it, and put the string through the ceiling and a bunch of eyelet holes all the way to the switch with some Scotch tape and duct tape. And I propped this battery pack that I taped together up against this radio, or this dancing flower. And when my alarm goes off, it moved it enough to where the battery pack fell off the side and it yanked the light switch on. And I thought that was just one of those contraptions I was bent on making, because I had some energy. So fun times.
Yeah, it's. I thought that was cool, and I thought it was one of those things where, I picture the old Steven Spielberg, E.T., Goonies contraptions,
Yes.
Data trying to create those. I know there's a word for them. I just don't know what it is. Those fun inventions where it all kind of falls in line together. I always liked those. I just wasn't smart enough to build them.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm
And it was
just being honest.
Yeah. Who knew if it was going to work? I just started going until it worked.
Yeah. So you've been doing stuff on YouTube too, yeah?
Yeah. We actually are doing a video series or Learn to Burn series on YouTube with Practical Machinists. So we just did an intro video, and we did our second episode just released last week. And we just going over the things that I've learned. And as you go, you don't think there's that much information or content, but as I start explaining it, I realize how much there is. There's so much. I realize like, wow, I might know a little bit about this. So as you go, you don't realize how much your experience has taught you. So I run into people that, are very skilled and that can do a fantastic job in some areas. And they always ask, well, why can't I make the big money and do all this? And I said, it's really not that you're not skilled. It's that you don't have 20 years of experience.
Yeah. And
that experience you cannot buy. It's invaluable to someone in the industry, where there's, like you said, you want to be able to have somebody look at a mold and say, yeah, that smashed because the part stuck over here, mushroomed the cavity side, and the part stuck over there, and that's why it's not working. And then your manifold failed, and then so on and so on. And they can see it just at a blink of an eye, but that blink of an eye took them 20 years.
Right. So the YouTube channel is about instruction. It's about helping people to grow and learn, and just sharing information with people that are trying to figure out this industry and how to do certain things.
Yeah. I'm hoping that it sparks some inspiration for people to want to learn more. There's only so much you can teach, but my goal is to show an actual application. Like, this is what we're doing the last week in our shop. We came up with this design. We don't know if it'll work. We're going to implement it and try it. So we put that out there, and we still don't know if it'll work. We're going to be probably running it next week. But nice. Just like designing anything, you don't know until you do it. But your experience level over that time will say, hey, I know this, and this will work because I've done it. But this part I don't know, but based on my experience, I think it'll work. So there's that's part of our industry. I think the mold making and tool shops and machinists, they're some of the smartest people I've ever dealt with. You can deal with a high-end engineer, and they're really smart, but they don't have it down where they could do it. I guess there's a gap there. When you have someone
it's the application of it, right?
Absolutely.
They don't have the application side of things. They've got I can design this to the smallest possible zero tolerance increment, right?
Right.
You don't know that. Maybe I shouldn't take off all the material right now because it's going to have to get polished and finished. And if I take off too much material and I give it to the polisher too perfect, there's no room to get the finish that we want. So we're going to blow our tolerance. Even though I cut it to size, I didn't take into consideration what the polishing department is going to need in order to give us the finish that we want to complete the job.
It's right on.
So it's that application side of things that I think a lot of engineers are missing. We're trying to have the conversation with people now when we do work. What's more important to you, the finish or the tolerance, right? The measurement or the finish quality, because sometimes you can't have both. We will give suggestions on you should leave this much material if you want an A2 finish. If you don't give us that much material, it's kind of like, we can't go to that finish. You just can't, because you're continuing to remove material. And sometimes the engineer knows, I want this to this spec, make it to this spec, cut it. Our machines are great. We can get that close. But the end result is, it's going to be very difficult to give you the finish and the end result that you're looking for.
Yeah, they're not giving you the material to work with.
Right. How are you guys using 3D printing?
Are you? Yeah, we are. We use 3D printing. We got a 3D printer from Mark Forge, Mark Forge, which was part of Automation Alley, and it was a grant through the state for Oakland and Macomb County to basically distribute 300 printers in our area, so that we could have the largest 3D printing community in the world. That was the goal, and we ended up getting one of the printers, and you got to go through a training class, which is online, and it was all during COVID, and it I think it was born out of the fact that we were not an independent manufacturing country where we needed PPE in this country, and we couldn't get what we needed. So
Yep.
The Automation Alley got together with the grant, and they put this program together so we could all basically have 300 printers printing the same part. You could have it all in one day. So we ended up getting one of these, and you have to go through class, and we ended up, they said, use it. You're going to have access. You're going to basically have this machine. If we need to use it in the community, you're going to agree to be a part of that community and help us out. And we were all about that. So we did that. And then they said, in the meantime, you can use it to grow your business and learn how this machine can help you. So we ended up building a really cool part that helped us in our molding department load 8 brass inserts into a 270-degree mold.
Wow.
And it gave us a 50% faster throughput with a manually handheld loading machine loading tool that we made. So the 3D printing is really powerful. I had a maker bot, and printing ABS and PLA, it had a weakness factor to it where I knew I couldn't get away with certain things. Well, this new printer, it's an industrial version. It has the carbon fiber, chopped carbon fiber nylon combination, which is, by itself is strong, and which I had a history of in Kansas. That's where I went there for, is the engineer that I was hired by formulated a DuPont material, co-founded it with DuPont. It was CDB 805. It was carbon fiber filled nylon, and they used it for ATV wheels and NASCAR head and neck restraint systems. So I know the stuff was strong. So anyway, this printer ended up making the part that I was trying to do, and I literally thought it was going to fail the whole time. So I'm like, I'm putting this thing to the test. We're going to try it. And surprising to me, I was impressed that it worked. It worked really well. And I've printed like 4 other ones, and I have some customers asking me to print one for them. So exciting.
Yeah, I get asked about 3D printing all the time from people, whether I think, are 3D printing farms or whatever they want to call them going to replace plastic injection molding? And I don't think it's possible. I think that 3D printing is going to be a supplement to what we do for the companies that are smart, right? To create those fixtures, to do those things that are going to be, that are going to make our jobs easier as mold makers, as plastic injection people. It's just not cost effective or time effective to make parts. But if you're trying to do prototyping, if you're trying to make a fixture, if you're trying to do certain things, you utilize the tools you have to do that. And I think that's exactly what you're saying.
Oh yeah, in the 3D printing of it, there's so much technology in it, and there's use for it. But replacing our industry, I don't see it either. I see it as a huge complement. And if people embrace all of these different additive and subtractive manufacturing styles, you're gonna be ahead.
Yep.
We recently built a mold that was 420 stainless 3D printed, and we printed that with a conformal cooling circuit in it for a gun magazine, and it was phenomenal. It printed it, then we finished machined it. They left stock on it for us, and we were able to machine it complete. And we would have never been able to do that. And it wasn't very much more expensive than making it from scratch. So does it make sense to do the whole mold base? No. Right. You put the technology where it makes sense. And like you said, if you can really grasp where it can go and be smart about it, there's some leaps and bounds we can make. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. The first time I saw a presentation on 3D printing was a few years back at MD&M West, and it was fascinating to me because all of these 3D printing companies were coming out and they were showcasing what they could do, right? And the message that they were sending was, you plastic injection molders, you better watch out because we're taking over the industry. And it almost came across like a threatening thing, like get on board or we're going to pass you up, instead of like, let's work together, right?
Yeah, that's exactly what I heard too.
We are bringing a technology that can benefit your company, that can help your customers, that can push you to the next level. Let's do this together. It was like, come on, let's fight. We want this industry and we're going to take it over, instead of, you guys are doing an amazing job. This is going to supplement it. Let's find a way to work together so that we can grow what we're trying to do. I just feel like sometimes they miss the mark.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I thought if, in my opinion, I think it had the reverse effect, because you can take now a prototype through a whole bunch more stages and go right to a production mold, which now increases our mold building. So maybe not as many prototypes, but more production, more proving of concepts. I mean, instead of, you can only go so far because you have a budget, you run out of budget, but never got to finish the program. Well, now you're able to fast track that and do it cost effectively. So like you said, it's just a matter of portraying the right message and getting the like minds to go in that direction. So,
and you can print a part and go to a customer and say, is this the part that you want? Is there anything that you want to change on this before we run them, before we, go and build the mold? Is this how we want the finished product to be? You can do reverse engineering to get the mold to where it needs to be. You do the conformal cooling on certain parts that need to be done. And it's another vendor. It's another partnership. It's another opportunity to make our industry better here in the country.
Yeah, you're right.
So let's talk a little bit about social media, because I think that's a huge part of huge part of our business. And I'd like to hear what you think about it, because I know that there's a number of people out there that they want to do, but they don't know how to do marketing, and they're almost intimidated by it. So what's your approach?
That's a good question. I've had this question a lot. The approach is that it's not complicated. And it was a book I read 5-6 years ago, and it said it talked about how much you expose who you are and what you do, post. And he basically explained you're gonna get seen, especially in today. I mean, especially this last year with everyone at home on their phones. Everybody's searching for stuff on their phones. They get caught in an endless loop of stuff they're interested in. So, I'm all about it. I think that a lot of people think it's really useless, pointless, and then it's more of, I guess, my parents' age group. And I don't want to say that that's true for everybody, but there's an acceptance level of new technology. I heard an article once talking about what's the most most important grade for a kid in school. And the answer was kindergarten or preschool, where they begin to learn how to learn. That constant learning is good. And after school, you're going to learn more than you ever did in college and in the real world. So go ahead. The approach that we took was get out there. If the stuff was interesting to me, I would post it. And it would be simple. It would be a picture. It'd be a video. It was stuff that I liked, and I pushed for it. And I had someone real good at doing it, Murphy here. She loves doing it. So we started posting a couple pictures, and one time we got one that had 100,000 views, and it was a subgate electrode. It was the silliest thing. It went farther, got 1 million views. And I was like, wow, that's That's unbelievable.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I think the other, go ahead, finish your thought.
I thought it was it's amazing how long it took really to see anything return from it, and that's
Right.
where I think most people don't see that. They want to see an ROI on it. You want to get a return on that investment, and for me, it was just I'm planting seeds. You have to plant the seeds to get a harvest. If you don't plant, you're just not going to get a crop. So you got to do it constantly. It's like a farmer trying to get go for the harvest when he didn't plant a seed. So
that's just biblical, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Jesus knew that in the beginning. You're going to throw seeds everywhere. Some of them
Yeah.
are going to fall on good soil and grow. Some of them are going to get lost in the weeds, and some of them are going to fall in the street and get crushed and never have anything happen to them. But if you're not putting seeds out there, you're never going to get a harvest. You're never going to get that in. It's one of the things Mary Kate and I talk about all the time with ROI. When people ask that question, we had the question come up at the conference. My answer is you can't put an ROI on marketing. You can't put an ROI on social media presence because you don't know when it's going to have an impact.
Well, you can put a number on it. It's 0 if you do none of it. So
exactly.
You got to do something. Something's better than nothing.
Exactly. And right now it's so easy to do and people are so forgiving. I think my personal opinion is Todd Shewitt is great at what he does. Professional photography and video. But I think right now, and Todd might disagree with me, I think people are very tired of perfect when it comes to that production side of things. I think people want real. I think, even with reality TV, yeah, I know it's not real, but people want the idea of real. What's actually happening in your life? Don't give me that perfect, super clean. I wrote the script 18 times and I'm reading it off a teleprompter. People want to know what's real. They want to know who you are. They want to know who they're actually doing business with. I can lie to you till I'm blue in the face about how great our company is. I would rather you see things, for our flaws, for our mistakes, and how we're going to correct those and make them better, because nobody does everything perfectly. That would just be a lie.
No, it's true.
And there's an opportunity for growth in that then. I always say perfect is boring. Perfect means you're done. You can't get any better. I want to be improving all the time and pushing the bar a little bit further. And I think people want that real aspect. I'm not saying if your shop is a disaster, don't clean it up a little bit before you shoot video, but you don't need a professional backdrop and then that and the other thing. You just need to do it and let people know that you're there.
Oh, for sure. For sure. I saw a video of a guy with no CNC equipment, huge amount. He had like 18,000 views in a week. Yeah. And it was like a long video. It's like, well, exactly. People want to see, hey, is that guy actually doing anything? Yeah, he doesn't have to have all that. I mean, not everybody can afford all these things, but they're still good. They're still quality. They're valued. You got to be valued for what you are and what you're doing.
Yeah. Do you have a problem with customers not wanting you to share pictures or videos of what you're working on for them?
They don't have a problem, but they have had, right in my quoting, I put, hey, as part of our marketing, we share videos of the process of what we're doing. And if this is a problem, you let us know right now. If it's not, then expect that something may show up in our feed. So I've had to take some things off that was exposing too much, but we try to hide anything that's not, or we just don't post when there's something that has been requested to keep off of social media. So, but yeah, I haven't had much problem. Maybe we've taken off 3 pictures out of the thousands that we've sent out, and they'll always call me and I'll say, I'll get it off right away. And it's not a problem.
Yeah. That's a good solution to that. We have that problem from time to time. We're typically good about calling our customer and saying, hey, we want to do a post. Can we use this? Or we ask the department leads, what do you guys think? Can we get away with doing this? But I think that's a good solution to that ongoing issue, because, like us, it's a very difficult thing to be able to showcase what you do as a company and promote yourself when you have your customers that say, no, you can't use that?
No, that was actually Murphy's idea. So I'm like, yeah, that's a great idea. So if there's ever any problems legally, I could say, hey, let's go back to that quote. And I just want to make sure we're covered. You guys saw that, or if they didn't, they do now. And we'll take care of it. We're not trying to hurt anybody. So like you said, you're trying to just market yourself as much as you can.
And you guys are continuing to push the envelope and grow and go into social media and do all those things. I'm assuming you found a level of success where people see your work and see your posts and they want to work with you through it.
Yeah. We've over the last couple years, this last year in particular, people saw something we posted, and the next week we got a purchase order from a brand new customer in Texas. So I was blown away by it. So there's a lot more advantages to it than I thought there would be. Just having the presence and the following. We've gotten a good deal on some equipment here and there. So they want to expose their stuff. So the marketing part is powerful. And we didn't see any of that coming. I was just excited to show some of the cool stuff that we do. So it really, I'm more and more impressed with it. And like you said, being real I think is key. Like on my video, we had it screwed up, putting a hole in the wrong spot, and we had to get it laser welded. So I want to kind of show people, hey, we're going to get it fixed, but we're going to give the customer a good quality finished product.
Where did you go for that laser welding?
ALWS.
Okay. Yeah, we know them. We've gone and seen them a few times.
Yeah, he's awesome. I've known him for years. He used to when he first started his shop, he was in another guy's shop, and I supported him as much as I could. But he's a great guy, Nate.
Awesome.
Nate.
Awesome. Yeah, we've made a couple visits to them and talked to them a little bit about upgrading some systems and things like that. So good group. I mean, that whole area is full of good people.
There's a lot of talented people out here. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Like you said, it's good to surround yourself with them.
Yeah, because you can't do everything. It's impossible. You'd be just spreading yourself way too thin.
For sure.
Do you think the return this year has been better because so many people are spending time on their devices, their phones, their computers, looking at social media? Or do you think it's just growing over time?
I think it's a combination. I think that the people that are seeing it now are showing other people that aren't seeing it. So I think younger people are showing, let's say the bosses and the owners, like, hey, this is what's going on. Look at this guy. I think that's happening. And especially because of this last year where everybody's focused on their phones more than ever and computers.
Yep.
It's a way of expression now. It's like you said, what's the new norm? It's ever changing, I think. But last year accelerated a lot of things. Yeah.
And I think everybody's on their phone all the time. I'm not saying this as a ringing endorsement for my parenting skills by any means, but we'll watch TV as a family and my daughter's on her phone, my son's on his phone, I'm on my phone. My wife less than the rest of us. She's usually one that yells at us, but I'll call it multitasking, right? Something boring is happening in whatever show we're watching. And so, somebody picks up their phone and they're flipping through it. And it's like half paying attention on two different things. And, there's so much missed opportunity if you're not out in front of people. And it literally costs $0 besides time to get your face in front of people and tell the story that you want to be told. And, it's a great opportunity that I think a lot of people are missing out on. Mary Kate just put this note up there, which is true. Our show is all about positivity and promoting, encouragement for things. And my opinion, the opinion of our show is that prayer is one of the best ways to do that. And so if you have a prayer request and you're listening and watching, please put it in the chat. And and we'll mention it when we get to the prayer part, which is coming up soon. But on top of that, where are you taking the company, Steve? What's the next steps for Zero Tolerance?
That's a good question. I have visions of taking it as far as we can. I am very interested in automation and getting more done with what we have. So that's really always been my thought, is how do we do what we're doing better, but not that we have to have everything, but that we can really maximize what we currently have, because it's capital. It's expensive. I mean, equipment and machinery are so expensive for some of the return that you get. But I have a passion for it, so I love doing what we do. So it's difficult for my wife to agree to buy all the stuff that I want to buy. I call it all toys, but it's actually investments for our company, and I get to play with them. That's all. So, but going forward, it's about automation, and not just automation, but teaching that there is a future in our industry. I have one of my kids is interested in learning, and it makes me so excited, because he's like, I don't have a degree, Dad, and how am I going to learn all this stuff? And I'm like, I'm right here. I can teach you. And he blew me away when he was telling me that. So there was a sermon I just listened to 2 weeks ago, and it was about a study that was done for what makes the most successful companies, marriages, churches, and all that. And it was very interesting. It was a ratio of good to bad inputs, and the ratio that the companies that were great had a 5-to-1 ratio. And you can look it up. It's been done on in all kinds of magazines, and books were written about it, that for every negative input, there's 5 positive. And the scary part is that the average is like negative 5 to 2. And that's the average. So I challenge all of our companies and the people that we work with to strive for a 5-1.
Yeah. I think that's great. I think it's great that you can take something that you heard on a sermon and apply it into business, and actually into life. Richard Evans chimed in and agreed with your suggestion on putting it on the quotes, right? And he says that he likes the approach. He spent tons of his time drawing molds and parts that are actually not even customer parts, just so he can post pictures and tell people what he can do and show them what he can do, because it's nobody wants their secrets out, right? But what I'm finding is there are very few secrets.
Right.
A lot of us are doing the same things, and the reason that one company is successful over another is not the secrets that they have, or we can build this better than you. It's the relationships, and it's the personality, and it's the gratitude for being able to do that. And you can't steal that. You can find 2 people that can build the exact same mold. That's fine. At the end of the day, you have to decide which one of those people is going to serve you better, that you trust better, and that you want to work with. And those are the things that are irreplaceable to me.
No, that's it. It's all about the relationships. Like you said, who are you going to want to give the work to if 2 people can do the same thing? The one you like. Who do you like better?
Yeah. Yep. My dad always told me that. He said, given level playing ground, you want to work with the people you like. So be likable. Make sure you're treating people well. Make sure that nobody feels like you're cheating them. Make sure that you're going the extra mile and holding the door open when you go out to dinner. Those little things that I would think are common sense, and some people don't do them. Those are the things that are going to get you the business in the long run. You may get it. You may get a job because you're cheaper here and there, but over the long haul, people want to work with people they trust, people that they like, people that have similar focuses on life and thoughts on life, and it just makes things easier.
Yeah, for sure. You got to share the values, and that's one thing John Maxwell was talking about, is the teaching of the values.
Yep.
And where do those values come from? They come out of the Bible.
Yeah.
That's where it's got to start. So
Yep.
it's the golden rule in action. That's what we try to do. Obviously not perfectly, but it's best we can.
I think John Maxwell is one of those outstanding leaders. And if you're a company, if you're a business, and you're just trying to figure out more leadership stuff, I would highly recommend looking into the Maxwell Leadership Podcast. It's just a fountain of knowledge. A lot of it is biblically based. So that may turn off some people. I find it the foundation to what I like to do and how I do things. So it works for me. But John Maxwell's got more books on leadership than it's crazy. And every time I listen to those podcasts, I come away with another nugget of something that I can use in my everyday life. So that would be a huge resource that I would recommend to people. That and Zig Ziglar. I mean, Zig Ziglar is like the father of sales. And his biggest selling point and his biggest comment that I always take away with is, if you help enough people achieve their goals and get what they want, you'll get what you want.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that quote.
Yeah. So, Steve, do you have anything else you'd like to go over or share with our group before we bounce out of here?
No, I think that's about it for me.
We're going to get out of here in an hour. That's always a good goal. I'm going to come out. I'm going to put you on the spot. Are you going to come out to our golf outing in September?
I am not sure. I will try if I can. My wife usually has stuff planned in September, but I can't say that I may be available. If I am available, I'll make it.
What would be better than a September 24th Friday in Chicago on a golf course, hanging out with some of your closest friends?
What would be better?
And your wife can come with. We've got plenty of opportunity for her to come with and help out, even if she doesn't play golf. It'll be great.
No, actually, she does. She would like to come. Actually, that would be a cool date weekend for us.
That sounds like a yes. It sounds like you just planned a date. And women love when you take initiative and plan dates. So nice job, Steve. I'm proud of you. We'll send you the information. Mary Kate's just over here laughing at me. So that's good.
Don't laugh. He's right.
Do you have any prayer requests for us?
Do I? Yeah. Actually, Kurt, from our customer of ours, just passed away last week. He worked for Jagman, and apparently he was like 56 or 7.
Yeah.
So his family
things in there. So I'm gonna pray for us, and we can. Oops, seems like one connection issues. All right. Well, it looks like it just got fixed. So I'm gonna pray, and then we can get on with. Father, thank you for today. Thank you for this platform and this opportunity to be able to share some of your values and thoughts and your messages with people that may not actually understand it, get it, or be aware of it. Thank you that you gave us a resource to know how to do life, how to experience life, and that you make us a people of community and communion, and that we rely on each other. God, we pray for Kurt and his family. We pray for their loss. We pray that you would give them strength, and that this situation would bring them closer to you, not further away. We know that you are in control of all things, and you'll use all things for the good of those who believe in you. So we just ask that you would watch over us, that you would give us strength, that you would give us gumption and humility when we need it, and that we would put our trust in you. And it's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Steve, thank you, my friend, for making the time to come on the show. I hope at some point that we can connect more in person. I saw you a couple times at a conference, but I wasn't able to grab you and have a chat. But sometimes I think that's better if this is the first time we talk, because there's nothing to rely back on, where everything is fresh and new. So it was good. I appreciate everything that you're doing for the industry and the business, and your thoughts and comments and time. So thank you.
All right. Thanks a lot, Tony. It was nice to be here.
All right. We'll talk soon.
Okay. Bye.
All right, everybody. Thank you once again for listening. Thank you to those that chimed in and were part of the show. If you like the show, do me a favor, share it. We are on iTunes. We are on Spotify. We're on all those platforms. We would love it if you would subscribe and leave a comment on YouTube, all those different platforms. It helps people find us better. And if you like the show, that's the goal, right? We want to reach more people with the messages that we're sharing. We're looking for more guests, more topics to discuss. So if you're interested in being part of the show, send us a message, Tony@AllianceLaserSales.com, and we'll be happy to get you on the show. We've got a lot of good shows coming up. We're actually booked out till September. There's a lot of people that want to be on here, and we're excited for it. So on behalf of myself, Steve, Mary Kate, the Alliance family, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Take care, and God bless.